Beneath the glow of the American flag, frozen in place upon the dust of a lifeless world, a question still festers in the minds of many. Did we ever truly land on the moon? For some, the Apollo 11 mission stands as a shining beacon of human triumph. For others, it's a meticulously crafted lie, an elaborate performance staged under studio lights and shadows. As the world marks the 55th anniversary of that iconic giant leap for mankind, a darker undercurrent persists. Skeptics murmur in online forums, their theories spreading like wildfire through algorithms and hashtags, feeding the idea that one of history's most celebrated moments may have been nothing more than smoke and mirrors. Conspiracy theories thrive in shadow. They root themselves in distrust, growing wild in the soil of secrecy and silence. And in the case of the moon landing, they've sunk their claws deep. The seeds of lunar deception were planted long before Apollo. In 1835, the New York Sun ran a hoax about intelligent life on the moon, winged creatures, sprawling temples. It was satire, but the public swallowed it whole. That early experiment proved one thing: people are disturbingly easy to fool. It was July 20th, 1969. The world held its breath. A grainy black and white image flickered across television screens as a voice crackled over the static. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Neil Armstrong's boot touched the lunar soil, or so we were told. To many, it was a moment of awe and unity. The Cold War tensions faded for just a second, replaced by wonder. But for others then and now, it was something else entirely. The opening scene in one of the most elaborate deceptions in modern history. One of the most cited pieces of evidence is the American flag, proudly planted on the moon's surface. In photos and videos, it appears to ripple as though caught in a breeze. But there's no wind on the moon, no atmosphere, nothing to stir the cloth. NASA explained it. The flag was equipped with a horizontal rod along the top to keep it unfurled. The apparent wave was caused by the motion of the astronauts twisting it into the soil, and in the absence of air resistance, the fabric retained the creases from being folded during the journey. To the believer, this is a tidy answer. To the skeptic, it sounds too convenient. After all, in a multi-billion-dollar operation, why didn't NASA ensure a flag that didn't appear to wave? Was it poor design or a cinematic slip-up? Another infamous detail: the sky in every moon photo is completely black. Not a single star twinkles above that lifeless horizon. Shouldn't the sky have been ablaze with stars? The moon has no atmosphere, no light pollution. It should have offered a stunning view of the cosmos. It began with a single footprint pressed into alien soil, a flag planted, a declaration of victory. But what if it wasn't real? What if the most iconic moment of the 20th century, the Apollo 11 moon landing, wasn't a triumph of science, but the perfect illusion? Over 50 years have passed since Neil Armstrong allegedly stepped off the Eagle's ladder onto the lunar surface. The footage was shaky, the transmission riddled with static. Millions watched in awe, millions believed. But in the shadows of history, a question took root: did it really happen? Or was it a staged performance designed to manipulate the masses and cover up something far more sinister? Some say the moon landing wasn't faked because the astronauts did go to the moon, but they saw something they weren't supposed to. Buzz Aldrin once claimed they were never alone. Strange objects followed the lunar module. Lights, movements. NASA later dismissed it as space debris, but leaked transcripts suggest something else entirely. There are rumors of radio blackouts, of encrypted channels, of transmissions never released to the public. What did they see? And why has it been kept hidden? The moon's sky is pitch black, yet every Apollo photo is starless. The reason? Camera exposure, NASA says. The bright lunar surface outshone the stars. But then why not take a single photo of the sky? And why do some images, upon enhancement, show reflections, strange shapes, odd angles, even figures that don't match the astronauts' positions? Were these photographic anomalies or accidental glimpses of the truth? More than 50 years later, the moon landing should be beyond doubt. We have the technology to revisit it, verify it, relive it. But we haven't returned since 1972. Not once. The official reason? Funding, politics, a lack of interest. But what if it's more than that? What if we can't return because we never truly went? Or because something is up there and we've been warned not to come back? In an age of deepfakes and digital lies, the moon landing remains the original question mark in a world built on deception. The theory goes like this: After releasing 2001, A Space Odyssey in 1968, a film so visually and scientifically accurate it stunned even NASA, Stanley Kubrick was approached with a proposition not to help with the moon landing, but to fake it entirely. Some claim that key NASA figures and shadowy government agents offered him the deal of a lifetime, unlimited creative freedom for his next projects, in exchange for producing a believable simulation of humanity's giant leap. In return, Kubrick gained access to technology and secrets no director ever had before. He shot the footage in a controlled environment, possibly using front projection and then cutting-edge visual technique that was ahead of its time. But the guilt ate at him. So, he began to speak, without saying a word. In The Shining, many believe Kubrick embedded cryptic clues that he had faked the moon landing and regretted his role in the deception. Danny Torrance's Apollo 11 sweater, a clear, almost jarring visual that screams for attention. Room 237, The Haunted Room. In the original Stephen King novel, it was Room 217. Kubrick changed it. Why? Because the average distance from Earth to the moon is 237,000 miles. The Overlook Hotel, a place where time bends, past atrocities are buried under manicured appearances, and nothing is as it seems. Much like the story of the Apollo mission itself, many see the film not as a ghost story, but as Kubrick's metaphorical breakdown, a psychological unburdening of his own complicity in a monstrous lie. If the moon landing was staged, someone had to control the operation. Enter the CIA, the masters of misdirection, surveillance, and clandestine influence. During the 1960s and 70s, the CIA was deeply involved in mind control experiments under the infamous MKUltra program. These weren't just fringe experiments. They included forced drugging, hypnosis, and media manipulation. Documents later declassified prove that they had every tool necessary to stage and sustain an illusion on a global scale. Some conspiracy theorists believe the CIA did play a central role not just in faking the moon landing, but in brainwashing the astronauts themselves. What if Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins were part of the mission, but were never told the whole truth? What if they were shown fabricated evidence, pumped with drugs, or psychologically broken to believe they had walked on the moon, when in fact, they hadn't left Earth? It sounds outlandish until you read CIA manuals on suggestibility, dissociation, and identity manipulation. Others say the CIA didn't just fake the landing, they faked the reason for the entire Apollo program. This is where the story takes a terrifying turn. In leaked transcripts allegedly pulled from classified NASA archives, there are whispered accounts of strange sightings during the Apollo 11 mission. They're here. They're watching us, supposedly spoken by Neil Armstrong during a blacked-out radio transmission from the lunar surface. NASA has denied these claims, chalking them up to static or misinterpretation. But former insiders, including radio operators and supposed whistleblowers, suggest something unexplainable occurred on the moon, something NASA has worked hard to erase. One theory posits that the dark side of the moon, never visible from Earth, hides ancient structures, artificial formations, or even extraterrestrial observation posts. Buzz Aldrin has spoken cryptically about a monolith on Mars' moon Phobos, saying, "We should visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there." When people find out about that, they'll say, "Who put that there? Who put that there?" What if the same question should be asked about our own moon? Another dark thread in this tangled web is Operation Paperclip, a real, documented program where the US secretly brought over more than 1,600 Nazi scientists after World War II, including Wernher von Braun, the mastermind behind the Saturn V rocket that took us to the moon. Some conspiracy theorists believe these scientists didn't just bring their knowledge, they brought their ideology, secrecy, and a willingness to manipulate truth on a global scale. Von Braun was once close to SS officers who dreamed of harnessing space for domination. What if that dream never died? What if the moon landing was part of a long-term plan not to explore space, but to control how the world perceived space? NASA allegedly muted certain transmissions. The astronauts, upon returning, were subdued, haunted. Some believe they were forced into silence, sworn by oath or threat. Perhaps that's why we've never returned. Not because we can't, but because we were warned not to. No matter which theory you entertain, Kubrick's cryptic guilt, the CIA psychological games, or the haunting silence of space, there's one thing we can all agree on. And like all legends, it may hold truths darker than we're ready to face. So, did we really land on the moon? Or did we step onto a stage built to distract us from what lies just beyond the veil? So far was unsettling. What follows is pure nightmare fuel. Let's step beyond Apollo 11 and into the shadows of history that were never meant to be revealed. The most famous of these is Apollo 20, said to have launched in 1976 as a joint US-Soviet black project. It allegedly targeted a bizarre structure spotted in photographs taken during Apollo 15, a massive cigar-shaped object resting in the moon's Delporte crater. What they found inside has become the stuff of legend. Now we plunge into the strangest theory of them all, one that rewrites not just history, but our understanding of the solar system. This theory, popularized by authors like David Icke and echoed by fringe scientists, claims the moon is too perfect in orbit. Its size, rotation, and distance cause it to perfectly eclipse the sun from Earth, a 1 in a billion ratio. Its density doesn't match its mass. Some seismic tests conducted during Apollo missions caused it to ring like a bell, suggesting a hollow interior. Craters on the moon are uniformly shallow, even those caused by massive impacts. Something beneath the surface may be reinforcing it. Here's the final, terrifying possibility. We stopped going to the moon not because we chose to, but because we were told to. We may never know the full truth, but maybe, just maybe, we were never supposed to. My name is Penny Flick, with Kreep-ish. I'll be back with more stories that challenge our perceptions, question reality, and keep us peering into the darkness of history. Comment below on your thoughts. What stories intrigue you the most? What mysteries do you want to uncover?